Salutations and welcome to another episode of Foxx Plays KSP, the 365-day challenge. So, I've done it. I've started a new save, just because our first attempt was just far too buggy. And so I did a clean install. I added the mods that I couldn't live without. And so we'll go from here. If it turns out that there are still some pretty major bugs, we'll just try and play around them. But I having a 2/3 success rate, or a 1/3 bug rate, however you want to look at it, was just not sustainable for for a whole year. So. For one thing, I'm changing formats pretty drastically. I think, at least for now, for the upcoming missions, I'm not really going to be focusing on space program goals like I was with the first save game. Instead, this is going to serve two purposes. One, it's just gonna kind of be some filler. I have to do a mission a day. They can't all be winners, but I do think we're gonna do some interesting things. And the other thing that I'm gonna do with some of the episodes that are coming up is I've wanted to do a mod spotlight for the Tantares Mod Pack for quite a while. Just because I think it's awesome. And basically the first couple episodes of this kind of reboot are going to be recreations of early Soviet space missions. So, well, I tell you what, I'll meet you on the launch pad, and you'll pretty clearly be able to tell what I'm up to when we get there. Alright, and here we are. And I think it's pretty clear what I'm going for. The proportions are slightly wrong, but this is going to be a Sputnik mission. It's one of those missions that everybody tries in KSP once or twice. There is a Staputnik core probe that very much resembles the Sputnik. With some caveats, but yeah. So this is basically from here down, from this tank down, is all Tantares parts. The tanks and the decouplers and the strap-on boosters and the engines. They're all Tantares. And they're obviously made to look like an R7 carrier rocket. And, I think they've done a fantastic job. So I think, without too much fanfare, we shall just launch this thing. 3, 2, 1... Beautiful. Look at that. So the R7 has a very, very long history, going all the way back to very, very early days as far as advanced rocketry goes. It's really only a step or two above the V2 when it comes to complexity and things like that, or at least the earliest versions were. It was designed by a man named Korolev, and he desperately wanted Soviet Russia to have a manned space program. He wanted to see cosmonauts in space, and in order to see that realized, he designed this rocket, and he convinced the government that it had many military uses, including as a carrier for nuclear weapons. which it was for a short period. It was one of the very first intercontinental ballistic missiles. Intercontinental ballistic missiles. And but it was discovered fairly early on. Also, just note the fascinating, like, KSP doesn't model it correctly. Those aren't falling like that for the correct reason, but in real life, the shape of those boosters causes something fascinating to happen aerodynamically, which is that they tumble, just like that. And that formation is called the Korolev Cross, after Mr. Korolev, who designed the rocket. So Korolev managed to convince the government that it could be used for delivering nuclear weapons intercontinentally, and he also, when it was kind of determined that was not really a valid reason, there were missiles that would do the same job much better and for much lower cost. So he kind of moved on to other ideas. Things like, for instance, one of the earlier missions included a second stage, an upper stage, that would boost the payload into an orbit. And he basically said, okay, well, this second stage, once it's in orbit, it doesn't need to use all of its propellant to put the payload into orbit, so it can remain in orbit and be used to shoot down enemy satellites. So, yeah, eventually he did get this. Just adjusting our fairings there, and I think, yeah, this is a good place to launch our probe. So yeah, there it is, Sputnik 1, or Sputnik. So yeah, it's a fun little probe. Not much to it. And it's fascinating because it was so simple, but what it meant was just so profound. It was a man-made object orbiting our planet. I can never get over that. How incredible that was. But anyway, I digress. This is naturally going to be a pretty short mission. It's already over essentially, but you'll notice that I have put it into an orbit such that it will decay over time and will work its way back down and eventually crash back into the atmosphere, or crash back into the planet even. But yeah, so that's been the Sputnik mission. I have been Fox. This has been KSP, playing with the Tantares pack. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care.